Hey guys, welcome to episode. I think I'm on the right team.
19, 20, 40, something.
Yeah. Coming down to the end, wrapping this up. Only got a couple of movies left, and me and Michael finally had time to sit down and watch one of the ones that we wanted to do together. We had two that we wanted to watch and review together. I don't know if we're going to get to both of them, so I may only have one left after this one. You may get two. We'll see. But today, we watched Poltergeist, the remake from 2015, sorry. 2015. Was one that we wanted to watch together because we were both big fans of the original, and so of course we wanted to check this one out. And well, it's not bad.
Yeah. I was expecting a lot worse,
Mm-hmm.
because I tend to...
Because you're a cynical asshole.
I am. And I was surprised with the Ghostbusters reboot.
Mm-hmm.
So, definitely didn't have the same charm as the first one did.
No.
I don't think in 25 years it's going to have the same following as the original one does now.
Mm-mm. No, I don't think so.
But it was all right. I mean, I think that if it hadn't been a remake of a movie, if the original Poltergeist had never been made, it would be a really good modern day horror movie.
Yeah.
But it has the fact that it is labeled a stigma as a remake, and so it's automatically going to have some stigma on it. But it had a lot to live up to.
It did. It had huge shoes to fill.
Mm-hmm.
The original Poltergeist is an absolute classic. It's put on pretty much every list, on most people's list of best horror movies ever made. And
Which is saying a lot for something that was rated, PG?
yeah.
So, and it was...
But the original
Super
one
fresh.
hit so many things right.
Mm-hmm.
Between casting Craig T. Nelson as the dad, that's something that I'm definitely going to talk about, the comparison between the two. But plus, the original was directed by Toby Hooper.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. One of the things that I think really hurt this one too was that it did come out last year, and last year was a huge year for horror movies. There were a lot of modern horror that was released that all ended up being so good. And I've actually...
So I got shut.
Yeah. Between Annabelle, The Conjuring, the Conjuring 2, the Insidious series, and two of the ones that I personally even reviewed here, It Follows and Mama, which both of those are some of the best horror movies that I've seen in a long time. I think it kind of it just had the misfortune. If it had come out like maybe the year before, it might have been a little bit more popular.
Or even this year, where there's no horror out right now. There's nothing.
It just happened to come in a year where a lot of people were trying to revive horror and doing a good job with it, making unique, unprecedented type horror movies. And then this one, which had its own charm, had some good stuff going for it. But again, it's a remake of a classic, and that's something that's hard to live up to.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to get out of the way first of all. This is just nitpicky about packaging. Okay, you see, scary ass clown is the packaging. That's the image you get when you pick this up. This is the image from, that we all know from, this is from like the special edition DVD, but basically this is the image that we all know. I disapprove of using the clown as the cover image.
I do as well.
Because the clown really had nothing in it. I mean, the clown was in there was more of a throwback to the original.
Uh-huh. Although I will say that
The clown in this one, the clown in the original one was much scarier.
in a lot of ways, yes. But the clown scene that they had in this one, where they all started moving around unseen,
Was creepier.
that was a very, very creepy scene, and it was the scene that actually made me start really paying attention to the movie. And I say that because up until that scene, this movie seemed really basic. Like it wasn't trying to do anything different. I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, this is going to be one of those remakes where you're like, okay, technically and proficiently there's nothing wrong with it, but they're not giving you anything to make it seem interesting. And then that scene came on and I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. I'll admit.
Yeah.
All the clowns start moving around in the guy's room in the shadows, and all you're seeing is them pop up in different places, but you're hearing them move.
Yep.
That was a good scene. That was a really good scene.
And they really play with shadows a lot in this one. Where in the original, Carrie Ann, well, I guess in this one it's Maddie.
Yeah.
When she gets sucked into the other world, like she does come back, but like you see her shadow running around the house. And that was really cool. They did some really cool stuff with the other world in this one.
Yeah. They used a lot of darkness in the remake. Like there was never any lights on anywhere. In the original, they had every light in the house on pretty much at all times. And I like that. I hate it. I don't hate it, but it's something that always bugs me when a horror movie, when they're like, turn on the damn lights. Like, seriously. But I understand in this one they had the power lines, and that was part of the problem, is that the poltergeist was messing with the power to the house. So maybe they couldn't, but it's just something that always bugs me. I'm like, there's a light switch. Hit it. Please. Like, enough. I'm sorry. I don't subscribe to the whole thing that ghosts are gonna make it to where you can't turn the lights on. Just personal gripe, sorry.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the thing with the electricity, I mean that was kind of that was kind of foreshadowed at the very beginning of the movie when the oldest daughter, I don't remember her name, whiny bitch, was like, ugh, we can't live here, there's power lines.
yeah.
But that was kind of just like, that was kind of a tell that electricity was going to be a big key player in the movie.
Yeah, they seem to really put a lot of those out, those hints out that these things are going to be important. Even like her little stuffed animal thing that she always had that came into play later, and the drone, and even the phone that bought the daughter. You know, all this stuff came into play later in the movie. So
Speaking of the drone, you got your wish.
yeah,
They used the drone. That was really unique. Of course,
that saved the movie, in my opinion. It really did.
Of course, the thing about the remake that is good is because since it sets place in modern times, they have all this technology that they can use to broaden the filmmaking process. For instance, like in Paranormal Activity 4, I think they used the Skype and webcams and phone cameras that give it an extra twist and an extra layer of being able to video recording, whereas the first couple of were just a videotape camcorder. So I do like the fact that
cameras.
And security cameras. Yeah, I do like that the fact that they were able to expand on different views of how you got to see things, and so that is one thing that I do like about modern horror remakes, or just remakes in general. The technology, you can use more things in technology to enhance the movie. That is one positive I will give about remakes.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, honestly, that was the main thing that saved the movie. And to me, once they did that scene, I'm like, okay, you got me. I like this. It was worth spending the money on this movie because that was an amazing scene where they used a drone, an AR drone with a camera in it, to actually go through the portal to find Maddie, instead of just sending the father in like they did in the original, which was great and that worked for the original.
They set the mom in the original.
Yeah. Sorry, I blanked on that. They sent the drone in first, with the little boy controlling the drone, which that was a really funny scene.
As kind of reconnaissance.
Yeah, and you got to see what it looked like in there, and it was everything I thought it would be. It was like an alternate, twisted, dark version of the house because you saw stuff from the house, like the staircase. And I thought it was really funny that was the main thing that you saw, and that was something that they noticed when they first walked in, the little shock that you got on the staircase. So it was obviously like a fixed point for the poltergeist. It was some sort of central point. But you got to see it all, what it looked like, and it was creepy as hell. It really was.
Just thousands upon thousands of ghosts in there. And I was wondering how they were going to tie in the supernatural part of it. So it was nice that they had the nod. They basically used the same premise from the original. And it sounds like this house was built towards the end of the original Poltergeist series.
Yeah.
Because they mentioned moving the cemetery. And they mentioned characters from the original and stuff like that. So
yeah, they made some good nods to the original without coming right out with any of it. So that was good.
So really, in a way, this is another sequel as opposed to a remake.
Yeah, it's kind of a mixture of both. It's almost like it's a soft reboot in the sense that it's nodding to the original and could be considered a sequel, especially because it's not the same characters, it's not the same family.
There's enough continuity in it that it could be an extended line.
Yeah, exactly. So, I will say one thing though, it is not anywhere near as scary as the original.
Oh, no. There wasn't very many jump scares. There were a few fun jump scares. The squirrel was great.
The squirrel was great, But it's like it wasn't trying to be scary. It was trying to just
be a fun movie.
The original Poltergeist, while it's a great movie and there's some really funny scenes, it's a movie that keeps you on edge. As soon as everything starts happening, you get a very, very creepy vibe. And even, I watched it just last month, or, earlier this month. I watched it again while I was on vacation, the original. And it still kind of gets to me, Even after having seen it probably 10, 12 times. It's still like, this movie is still kind of scary. It's still creepy. It still kind of makes you feel uncomfortable a little bit, Just because it's a classic, it's a masterpiece in how it's directed. But again, I think that's part of the big difference is looking at the directors. The original had Tobe Hooper, who had already proven himself to be an amazing director. This one is directed by a guy named Gil Keenan, who hasn't done much of anything.
Yeah.
This is literally his third thing that he's directed. He directed an animated movie called Monster House and something else. Apparently he's attached to be directing the movie version of Five Nights at Freddy's too.
Wow.
Which I didn't even know that there was going to be a movie version of Five Nights at Freddy's, and that makes me sad.
But one thing that this does have going for it, and you can kind of see a little bit in the styling, but it was really, really scaled back a lot. Produced by Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
And more Sam Raimi Spider-Man as opposed to Sam Raimi Evil Dead. Because it was pretty stylized.
It was.
There wasn't the Sam Raimi touch to it that you would find in stuff like Evil Dead, where like there's a lot of gore and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're still trying to keep this as a family PG-13.
It was definitely
Spearfest.
it was definitely late '90s, early 2000s Sam Raimi, as opposed to late '70s, early '80s Sam Raimi, or even modern day Sam Raimi, because he's starting to come back to those roots. Because I mean, he did help produce the remake of Evil Dead,
Right.
you know, and now Ash versus Evil Dead and things like that, you know. One thing, I pretty much I don't have a whole lot left to say about this, honestly. But one thing that I was really looking forward to seeing in this remake was the first scene with the TV. Because we're going from early 80s where TVs were this big to modern day where TVs are huge.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping that it would even be a bigger TV than they did have, but I understand that that's one of the things they changed, is that in the original the family had some money because he worked, you know, for that company. This one, the dad is out of work, the mom is out of work, they don't have money.
Yeah.
You know? But I was looking forward to seeing that scene on with a bigger TV in it. And they delivered that, and it looked good. I liked the different approach that they went to it, because it's modern day and TVs don't have a snow signal anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And so I was wondering about that too, because you kind of see one, but not really, not enough where you can complain. It's like, hey, no,
Yeah.
that's technically not possible. But it seemed more of it was like almost like a video signal being streamed in through the electricity, where you could see into the other world, kind of.
Yeah.
Because
And
here,
it was almost set up like what happens when your satellite signal starts to glitch.
mm-hmm.
That's kind of what it looked like. You could see lightning. Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
You could see like little streaks of lightning.
Yeah.
Which again foreshadowed the storm that came later.
Right. But also they push their hands up against, so you can see start to see the people that are in there that are trying to escape. So it's
Mm-hmm.
so yeah. That's one thing I was really worried about, was the TV thing. It's like they better not do a snow signal, because that's not technically possible anymore. So
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
well, I mean, you can't. I mean, there is, if you do an over the air, but it's not really a snow signal. It's
No.
not exactly the same thing. But that, yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore because everything's ran through satellites now.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I can turn my TV on to a tuner and nothing will come up. I mean, it's kind of a little bit, but it's just not the same as that old
No, and it has to do
creepy ass sound.
and it has to do with the technological advancements of the cables that everything's running through. Since almost everything runs through HDMI now, you're not going to get that because it's not run through AV and RF cables or tubes or anything like that,
Yeah.
and that's what caused that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was something that I was also a little bit concerned about. I would have been upset if it had been, but at the same time, it would have been kind of a nice throwback, even if it was a completely false throwback.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't have happened. But I was impressed with how they did the TV stuff. I was really impressed with how it looked and everything.
So overall, what do you think? Worth it? Worth a rental at least?
It's worth a rental, and honestly, if you find it for cheap, it's worth a buy. I mean, I would honestly say that. It's not great, but it's enjoyable to watch. It has some good moments in it. It's fun. It's not super scary, but it has a few jump moments that'll kind of get to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not a bad movie. It's not necessarily a great movie, but it's not a bad movie.
What did you want to say about Sam Rockwell, real quick? I was really surprised to see that Sam Rockwell was in it. I didn't even know. I don't even know who the cast is in this at all. But I saw Sam Rockwell popped up. I was like, yes, redeeming factor.
Yeah, I like Sam Rockwell a lot. I thought he did a very good job in it. The only thing that I didn't like was one of my favorite moments in the original is when they first call the people over to investigate the paranormal activity, and the family, you know, it's been like a week since she disappeared, and the family has just accepted completely all this weird shit that's going on in their house, and they're all just sitting there casually. And the dad is like, you know, Craig T. Nelson in the original is always like, oh yeah, weird stuff happens here and here and here. You want to go see the room? And he's just so calm and blasé and kind of drunk throughout the whole thing. Sam Rockwell didn't quite pull that off as much, and they didn't quite pull that scene off as well. You know, everybody, when everybody first comes over to investigate, everybody's still a little bit freaked out. They're kind of accepting about it, but he did have that great moment where the chair flew across the room, and he's like, "Did you catch that on your high-speed camera?" And then just turned around and walked out. I'm like, "Okay,
Yay.
thank you." That was good, because that is my favorite moment of the original, where everybody's like, "Yeah, weird shit happens. What are you gonna do?"
Yeah. So I thought it was decent enough. We got it for Black Friday prices. So if you find it
Yep.
at Black Friday prices this year, then it's worth a pickup.
It's probably cheap now. I mean, it's probably $10 most places.
Right.
You know, it's been out for a year. I mean, it's not bad. If you like horror movies, it's worth at least a pickup, because I mean, it's got some good stuff in it. So, but don't expect it to live up to the original.
Yep. Because it doesn't. So.
Not many remakes do. There are very few.
So anyway, thanks for watching.
Yep. See you later.
Bye.